All right, let's get into this, shall we? Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our post-Monday Night Football game live stream here on the channel. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs, just ever so, by the little chinny chin hairs that they have, barely snuck by the New York Giants. That speaks volumes. Obviously, there's something wrong with that team as a whole. Nonetheless, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about fantasy. We're here to talk about Week 9 and what we could potentially expect in the weeks to come. Again, there was a lot of information that was divulged earlier this morning via trades. Von Miller coming to my Los Angeles Rams. We love to see that. Derrick Henry out for 6 to 10 weeks. Probably not going to see another fantasy football game this season. Of course, with the broken foot and surgery that he will be having tomorrow. There is a plethora of different situations that are obviously putting us in unfortunate situations. But hopefully we can go ahead, adapt to those situations, and collect enough value off the waiver wire in order to kind of set ourselves up for success. Either way, I want to thank you guys for showing up. For those of you who are here, I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I possibly can. I'll be here for the next hour and a half until about 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, answering questions. And then after that, I got to go and get ready for tomorrow's running back video. Nonetheless, let's go ahead. I did see some questions at the top that were quite intriguing. I just want to go ahead and reiterate. Okay, David Ramos, you said, should I trade away Mike Gesicki for Allen Robinson? I have Travis Kelce. I would not. Mike Gesicki's worth way more than Allen Robinson. Even if Allen Robinson gets traded, it's not a guarantee that it's a successful scenario either. He may get traded to a team that he actually just doesn't end up exploding. And when we're talking about the tight end position, as thin as it is, as we're seeing, guys like Travis Kelce put up dud performances like that, the tight end position is worth that much more as the weeks progress. So I think you can get way more for a talented player like Gesicki, especially in this current, tight end climate. Okay. Somebody else was also asking, who are we going for? Adrian Peterson or Jeremy McNichols? If the video that I dropped earlier today doesn't give away the answer with the thumbnail itself, then I don't even know why I make thumbnails. But no, I'm at this point, I'm of the opinion that they wouldn't sign Adrian Peterson this quickly. They literally brought him in this morning, worked him out. They saw, man, he still got it, immediately signed him. They didn't let him leave the building. They knew they were going to sign him. They knew that's who they were going to go with, rather than the plethora of other running backs that are currently free agents that could come in and help. It just doesn't mean that they're not going to sign anybody else. It just means that for now, he is going to be the lead back, and he'll probably be playing this upcoming Sunday against the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday Night Football. So I am going to go with Peterson. Though he is older and he hasn't a good amount of miles on him, we're talking about AP. We're talking about all day Adrian Peterson, a guy that for right now is going to for sure be, the early down work specialist for this team. Sure, they may not be able to run the ball as successfully as they have in the past because Derrick Henry is just miles and miles ahead, and he is one of one, and you can't really replace him. But nonetheless, this team is going to have to run the ball eventually, and when they do, AP will probably be collecting that. Not to say that McNichols isn't going to get rushing work. He certainly will, but obviously that's not his forte. All right, I see a couple donations got sent in. I just want to go ahead, answer those. Let's see here. If in fact you do send in a message, guys, I do appreciate you guys contributing to the channel. Please let me know what scoring format you are currently playing in, so I have a little bit of an idea. Because otherwise, typically, I'm just going to go ahead and answer it in a half PPR. What's up, Adam? How's it going? All right, so Devin sends in a question. Says, Javonte, Sutton, Darrell for Gibson and Claypool? Wow. Yeah, that's a good question. I think Antonio Gibson's a little bit broken. Hopefully after the bye week, he'll be fully healthy and they can just get him going. Devin, I see that you said full PPR. Thank you for reiterating that in the chat. Thank you very much. Who do I rather have rest of the season? Javonte Williams or Antonio Gibson? I think I'd probably still rather have Antonio Gibson. And then Claypool, Sutton, at this point, they're just as bad as one another, just as inconsistent as one another, so that doesn't really matter. And then when we talk about Darrell Williams, he'll eventually disappear when CEH comes back in a week or two. So I think I'm just going to go with the Gibson side there. Devin, thank you. Dami says, lost by 0.06 because of the -1 kneel by Patrick Mahomes on the last play. Fantasy is a cruel... Wait, hold on, we got cut off. Hold up. Fantasy is a cruel mistress. This is what I'll say, Dami. What website do you play on? Do you play on ESPN? Because if you do play on ESPN, be careful. There is a very good chance, for those of you who won by either a fraction of a point or lost by a fraction of a point, I know because I've played on ESPN for so long, they have a lot of stat corrections. So in a couple hours, even by tomorrow, there could be a stat correction that grants you 0.1 points and gives you the victory. So I would honestly, if it's me, and typically what I do if I'm in this scenario, which I have lost, more times than I'd like to admit by a less than half of a point, and yes, it hurts. I literally go and I look at my entire team's stats and I do the calculations themselves, because sometimes they don't have the full, sometimes it requires stat corrections. Just want to throw that out there. So hopefully it gets fixed and maybe you end up winning. Otherwise, unfortunate, it is what it is. Thank you very much. Mark Straw says, Patty Mahomes or Tom Brady rest of the season? I mean, look, at this point, the Patty Mahomes we continue to see on a weekly basis kind of leans me towards probably Tom Brady. That's probably where it leads me towards, because I don't have to worry about Tom Brady. So yeah, that's probably it. That's probably it. Let's hear. Only Figaro says, should I trade A.J. Brown and Hollywood Brown for Knox, James Robinson, and Keenan Allen? All right, so Knox doesn't come back for like another 2 weeks. James Robinson, I don't know the extent as to how long he's potentially going to be out. I'm waiting to hear more concrete news regarding that. Until then, I would say if I had to choose, I'd like to have the side with Knox, James Robinson, and Keenan Allen. Now, if in fact we're going to see James Robinson miss a significant amount of time, a couple weeks here and there, and you need victories now, then you can go ahead and take or keep the A.J. Brown, Hollywood Brown side. But for right now, I want the running back because they're so valuable in fantasy. It's just a matter of whether or not he's fully healthy going forward. Thank you very much there, Figaro. Appreciate it. All right, let's see here. Moonrock in the chat says, James Robinson, 2 weeks at most. Yeah, it's just a matter of whether only Figaro requires wins in the next 2 weeks. If he needs value and he's going to be trading for James Robinson, it's a matter of can he go ahead and survive long enough to see him come back and be healthy. Should I drop Travis Kelce? That's funny, John. I appreciate that. Lightening up the mood, that's always fun. Thank you there, John. What do you think I could get for Kittle? I mean, to be honest, because of the name value itself, you might be able to get like a wide receiver too. I don't know if anybody's handing out running backs like Cordero Patterson, but there's always a chance that you might be able to get one just off of pure name value itself. So, I mean, you can go ahead and give that a shot. See if you can, muster up a trade in which you can pull up. You typically want to, if you're going to trade a running back of that caliber, you want to trade for a running back. So let's go see if you can get anybody Cordero Patterson range and pull that off. I think that would be the first rock that I flip over to see if I can go ahead and pull something like that off. Joe says, thoughts on Pitts? Mixon for Diggs, full PPR. All right, let's see here. Thoughts on Pitts? He's a rookie tight end. It happens to everybody. Inconsistency is a part of the game. He's going to be great rest of the season. No problem. Mixon for Diggs in a full PPR. I think I'd rather have the running back, to be totally honest. Running back value, especially when we get late in the season when running backs are starting to drop like flies in terms of injuries. The running back value is just that much more concrete. And I understand Stephon Diggs, especially in a full PPR, could be of incredible value, but I think I'm just going to go with Mixon the rest of the season. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Is it safe to drop Mike Davis at this point? Renee, I honestly don't think so. When I think about Mike Davis and his value, he has safely kind of carved himself, what is it, like in a half PPR, like 8-9 points a week? Is that the greatest thing in the world? Absolutely not. Is that what we anticipated? Definitely not. But at least he's okay. Like, let me go see here. Where is Mike Davis in his overall value? So he came off of another 9-point week. Prior to that, 11. Okay, he had a 1-point week against Miami. That's a flub. but then he had 11, 9.6, 9, 9.8, 8.7. So he is a solid 9-point play every single week. So if you need a potential guy that's going to come in and play when your other running backs are on bye week, or you need a flex play because you're dealing with injuries in that regard, I'd say you keep him. But unless you can find something significantly better, which oftentimes in a deeper league like 12, 14 teams, you're not going to find anything better. Maybe if you're playing in an 18, 10 team league, maybe you can find something that could help you going forward if you're already established at running back. Christian McCaffrey going to play, says Mitchell. To be honest, I'm thinking that he will. My assumption is that he should be activated off the injured reserve. He should practice fully Thursday and Friday. And he should be good to go. And who does he play against this week? I think they... Let's see here. Does Carolina have a bye week, or do they have a tough matchup? Week 9 schedule. Let's see here. I haven't even started on my running back stuff. That's what I'll be doing after this. They play on against the Patriots. I mean, even then, I don't really care. Patriots, it's Christian McCaffrey. And when he's going, and I'm firing him up. So let's just hope that's the case. Adrian says, don't drop Julio. His value is up with King Henry out. I absolutely agree. I think Tannehill, A.J. Brown, and Julio Jones all get increases in terms of total value. And also Daniel Nunez in the chat says, what do we do with Julio Jones? You want to hold on to him. You absolutely want to hold on to him because he's probably going to be in a situation where once he gets healthy, this is an offense that's most likely predominantly throwing maybe 70% of the time, because I don't think Adrian Peterson's carrying the ball 15 times for 115 yards. That's not going to happen. So this offense is, though it's been so heavily relied upon Derrick Henry, they're going to air raid this son of a gun and make it so where they're just dropping bombs on people's heads with A.J. Brown, Julio. That's the only way they're going to be able to succeed. If they can't find success in doing that, then the whole team is just going to be dead. And then we'll go ahead and crown Derrick Henry the MVP, even though he only played 8 total games. Dribble God says, trade away Mike Evans for Mike Williams. Thoughts? I don't mind it. I still think that they're probably similar value rest of the season. I do prefer the idea of Mike Williams if in fact AB and Gronk are back. It doesn't seem like we're getting into a situation where AB and Gronk are both going to be at full capacity at the same time rest of season. Hopefully that will be the case after this upcoming week's bye, but there's no guarantee of that. And as that continues to happen, Mike Williams will continue to have these breakout games when he is called upon to have himself great performances. So for right now, they're relatively even. I might even be just leaning in the direction of Mike Evans because of career consistency and just knowing that he will get the job done by the end of it, in comparison. Let's see here. Okay, what's up, guys? Is Saquon playing? That's a great question. I'm assuming that he will. Obviously, it's going to be a matter of whether or not he practices this week. But guys, I mean, the thing that I want to once again reiterate, if in fact you have a chance for trading for Saquon Barkley, please do it. And you may be thinking, Andrew, there's a lot of risk involved. Absolutely. There's risk involved in every move that you make in fantasy football. Some higher than others, some that are completely out of your control. Actually, no, all of them are out of your control. We just are, we're spectators at this point. But nonetheless, the reason why I want to reiterate the value of Saquon Barkley is let's just look at what Devontae Booker has done in the last couple weeks and think to ourselves, well, okay, if Devontae Booker, as a starting running back of the New York Giants, can go ahead and put together performances of 19.3 fantasy points, 8.9 fantasy points, 13.6, and then tonight against the Kansas City Chiefs puts up 15 fantasy points, 5 catches for 65 yards, 60 rushing yards. When he can go for over 120 all-purpose yards, just imagine what Saquon's going to be able to do in this offense. I literally cannot wait for him to come back. So hopefully he's playing. If that's going to be the case, he'll be great. Jake G says, Gainwell droppable? I think he is. In all honesty, I think he is. Because, okay, when they're up in games, they're running the ball with Boston Scott and Jordan Howard. That has been the new established Eagles offense. When they're down in games, they're throwing the ball. But my issue is that Boston Scott is just as capable as Kenneth Gainwell in the receiving game. He is just as capable. So, if you think that they're going to get completely blown out by the Chargers this upcoming week and whoever they play the following week in week 10, if you think they'll get blown out, then Gainwell could have value. But if that's not the case, then and they're going to compete, then Boston Scott's the guy, because for some reason, they thought, yeah, let's use Gainwell the whole year until it's his chance to run the backfield, and then we'll go ahead and bench him. It's just so strange. Big Dog Pound 1 says, should I drop either Darrell Williams, Emmanuel Sanders, or Khalil Herbert for Mike Davis and Jeremy McNichols in my PPR league? Or should I stay put? No, I think you should move and try to make a move here. Mainly because I want to keep Emmanuel Sanders. I think Khalil Herbert could be a drop candidate because he does have a bye week in week 10. They play Pittsburgh this week. So I think Khalil Herbert could be dropped for Jeremy McNichols. I also think Darrell Williams could be dropped for Mike Davis, mainly because there's a chance that Mike Davis gets traded. And on top of that, there's always a chance that CH comes back in a couple weeks here and siphons the entire value of that backfield. I mean, we just saw Gore go for, a rushing touchdown, eat up a lot of work on the ground for the Kansas City Chiefs offense. So Darrell Williams isn't by himself in that backfield going forward. So I don't mind having Davis and Jeremy McNichols there, for the rest of the season. Let's see here. Another question got sent in. Amir says, pick 2, Hunter Renfrow, Javonte Williams, Sutton for next week. It's a little early, guys, for next week talk, because I haven't watched every single game of film. I tried to, knock out a bunch of them today, but obviously it's very time consuming when you're trying to watch the same play over and over and over again, just to kind of understand what the heck went wrong for some of these teams. Nonetheless, if I'm picking between this group of players, who did the Broncos even play this week? They play the Cowboys. Oh God. Okay. I'm good playing Sutton there. That's not a problem. It's just between Renfrow and Javonte Williams. At this point, I'm probably just going to roll with Renfrow versus the Raiders, because I just don't know if Javonte Williams can score a touchdown against the Cowboys. It is literally touchdown or bust for those running backs in the Denver backfield, because they're splitting so many snaps and touches. Let's see here. Stoko says, got injured Russell Wilson. Okay. Would you invest in a quarterback for the rest of the season? Top 3 in the case. Okay, cool. Got it. So right now, Russell Wilson should be coming back soon rather than later. I saw a post, what was it, on Instagram or Twitter, of him saying that he got his last pin out of his finger. He did have surgery on his middle finger of his throwing hand. So if the final pin is out, it's just now being able to work and get that rehabbed and ready to go. So he should be back in a couple weeks. Now, if you're willing to invest in a quarterback, I think you should probably invest in one that's relatively cheaper, because Russell Wilson's coming back and you don't want to potentially break the bank in order to get somebody going forward. So that's kind of my suggestion at this point. If you're going to go after someone, I'd say you could probably survive with Derek Carr in the next couple weeks and find pretty good value in doing so and just having him on roster. Now, if you're trying to go big or go home kind of status, you could probably go buy cheap on some of these guys. Like, all right, let's think here. Ryan Tannehill is not a bad option to go buy cheap on now that they're going to be throwing the ball for literally the entire year. Who's another guy that you could potentially buy cheap? Kirk Cousins could be bought cheap. He's had a terrible game. Burrow's out of the question. Dak's out of the question. Jalen Hurts, you might be able to go steal, but I doubt it. Taysom Hill, dude. Taysom Hill. You can get him for free just off waivers, All right, let's see here. Bakari sends in a question. Says, suggestions for Gibby. Okay. I have Eckler, Henderson, Javonte, and McKissick at running back. At receiver, I have Diggs, DJ Moore, Waddle, and Myers. Staff as my quarterback, and Hawkinson at tight end. My only suggestion for Gibby is to either trade or hold, because you can't drop him, and it's either you go ahead and you sit him on the bench. Obviously, he's going on a bye week, and hope that he's healthy, and once he returns from the bye week, he'll be fully healthy and be given the full reign of the backfield. So at this current moment, I'm thinking I doubt you can upgrade your wide receiver position at such a capacity to where Diggs, DJ Moore, and Waddle are like significantly upgraded on. Stafford and Hawkinson is probably as good as you'll get at tight end. Eckler, Henderson is great. You just need to go ahead and have that flex option, which is probably going to be Gibby, Javonte, Waddle rest of season. I think you're good with those three. It's just a matter of, if you're going to go out and make a trade, it's got to be for another running back. You want to always have that running back as your flex, especially if we're sitting in a half PPR scoring format there. Lee Shakur says, Would you trade Elijah Mitchell, Herbert for Amari, Devonta, and Wilson? No. I would keep Elijah Mitchell. I'm assuming when you say Herbert, you mean Justin Herbert, because I don't know if it's Khalil or Justin. My assumption is that it's Justin Herbert. So if we're trading Justin Herbert for Russell Wilson, obviously we want Herbert rest of the season. But as for Elijah Mitchell versus Amari and Devonta, at this point, I'd rather just have the healthy quarterback and the stable starting running back at this current moment. Trenton G says, I have Chubb, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Carson, Mike Davis, and Booker. Was offered Dak for Swift. Okay. I have Burrow. Should I trade Dak for Swift? I need an RB2. I would. Yeah. I would pull the trigger on that. I like that idea a lot, actually. Dustin says, chat, do we have to pay to get a question answered? No, you don't have to pay to get a question answered. It's just a matter of people that want to jump the line per se and guarantee that they get their question answered. They send in a donation via the chat and I answer them. But otherwise, no, I'm basically hopping back and forth in terms of answering questions, guys. And there isn't as many of you guys in here in comparison to like Sunday mornings. When we're there at Sunday morning and there's 900 to 1,000 people in here, it's really hard to answer people in the chat, especially when I'm just getting berated with individual questions via donations. So yeah, worried about Kelsey? No, I'm not worried about him. I'll be fine. He'll bounce back. It's not a big deal. Let's see here. Saeed says, lost Henry, picked up Peterson. My running backs are Taylor, Darrell Williams. My wide receivers are Diggs, Thielen, Gallup. Should I trade Allen for Najee Harris and Russell Wilson? Yes. Are you talking about trading Josh Allen for Najee Harris? I would do that. Russell Wilson is just a bonus piece there. And then you should go and pick up a quarterback, either Tua, Taysom Hill, something of that nature, guys. They don't have bye weeks in the coming weeks. Justin Fields, that you can go ahead and start. And honestly, getting Najee Harris for Josh Allen straight up is a deal that I would take 10 times out of 10. But the fact that you also get Russell Wilson for the later half of the season is great. Let's see here. Is Kelsey going to be good for the season? Yeah, he'll be fine, guys. Don't worry about him. Is Jeff Wilson Jr. a good stash? At this point, I mean, in my leagues, I personally dropped him in week 7 because in week 7, I heard the GM for the 49ers, John Lynch, he came out and publicly said that he will be back in a couple weeks. Don't expect it to be earlier rather than later. So my assumption from week 7 was that he was probably not going to return till like week 10 or 11. And at that point, already in the last couple weeks, Elijah Mitchell has established himself as the lead back by a wide margin of success. So I'm not really too keen on holding him unless you have an extra IR spot and you're okay to just put him there and good to go. If you don't and you're hurting your team by holding him, then obviously you should probably move on. Let's see here. I have Knox in the IR and Seals Jones on a bye week. Should I drop Knox or Seals Jones to cover week 9? I would drop Seals Jones because once Washington comes back from a bye week, Logan Thomas will be off the injured reserve and active. So I would go ahead and drop Seals Jones. Chris sends in a question, says, sent Swift /Fant/ Amari Cooper for Christian McCaffrey. Thoughts? I'm okay with it. I'll take it. Thank you very much. Yeah. Look, you have to risk it sometimes in fantasy. And though it may kill you this season because Christian McCaffrey may get injured again, the risk, in my opinion, is worth it. Because what Christian McCaffrey can bring to us is number 1 overall running back upside rest of the season. Let's see here. Tony was a big disappointment today. Yeah, he was missing for a lot of that game, Cliff. He was injured a lot. I mean, only until Shepard got injured did he get himself reestablished into the offense. And even then, he was... I think they had him on a pitch count. They didn't want to say it publicly, but of course they wanted to keep him on a pitch count because they wanted to just slow him down. Somebody in the, Oscar says, drop Zach Mosk with, I think, was that 12 question marks? Yeah, you can drop him. Here's the thing. I had to learn this the hard way, but I'm personally done with Buffalo Bills running backs as RB2s. They'll probably be low RB3s until, further notice. And I'm done with any other running back outside of Damian Harris for the Patriots. I can't deal with them. It's too much. Dog Pound says, I need to stream a quarterback this upcoming week. What do you think of... Oh, yeah, Wentz or Tua? No, I'd rather have Wentz. Yeah, I'd rather have Wentz. I didn't think Wentz would be available in your league considering he has like a 55, 56% rostership. So, yeah, I would for sure say Wentz. Gibby for Barkley, yes, automatically. I would take Barkley literally 11 times out of 10 over Gibby rest of the season. If you take that risk on McCaffrey, worth selling Chuba high? Is it worth selling him? Do you have McCaffrey? If you don't have McCaffrey, it's just a matter of, honestly, I never want to, and this goes to a point similar to like, okay, we'll refer back to it, but at this point, I never want to, I don't hope for injuries in any capacity, right? I'm always expecting guys to come back from their injuries and just be perfectly fine rest of the season because they're professional athletes. They get the best treatment, the best care, and the assumption is that they'll bounce back and be perfect. So if you're willing to take the risk and you're going to sell high on Chuba Hubbard, that's fine. You just have to get an amicable amount of value back. Otherwise, you have, the trade has to have an understanding that if you're trading away Chuba Hubbard, they are getting potentially a running back for the rest of the starting season and also a guy that may not even play ever again after this week. So you just have to kind of balance that. It's just a matter of like, what is someone willing to really give for him? Aaron Jones for Barkley, that's probably where I cut it off. I like Barkley a lot. I think him and Aaron Jones are probably identical in terms of value rest of the season. Let's see here. Is Alvin Kamara and Evans for Pittman, Hollywood Brown, Cordero Patterson, and Burrow worth it? I guess it depends on what your scenario looks like. Because if your scenario is in a position where, you desperately need quarterback because you lost, I don't know. How would you okay. Let's say you desperately need quarterback. Cordero fills in for that. That fills in for that. If you're in a position where you're like, I need a win now, I still think that Alvin Kamara gives you the best chance, but I don't know. I don't know what your rest of your team looks like. You may be in shambles, and I don't know. You may have Jameis Winston as your starting quarterback this season, and I don't know it. And Burrow is a huge upgrade, right? There's so much context that needs to be involved in this. Amir sends in a question, says Bateman or Renfro. I would go Bateman rest of the season, yeah. Boom. V27K says Pittman and Antonio Brown starting wide receivers. My other receivers are Michael Thomas, Woods, Waddle, Ridley. Okay, should I be good or look for a trade? 10-team PPR. At this point, Ridley, and this goes to the point where Ridley's in a very interesting situation. Really quickly before I talk about Ridley, if you guys could, if you spam the same question like 15 times, I will guarantee you I will not answer it because you're just plugging up the chat and I see it and I continue to see it. I will get to your question. It's just a matter of take it easy. Don't post it every 20 seconds, please. All right. VK says, okay, Pittman rest of the season could probably start. Antonio Brown starts when he's healthy. Otherwise, you play Woods. You're waiting for Michael Thomas to come back. Waddle's a great play. Ridley's going to take his time. He'll eventually be back. I don't know exactly as to what context he's going to come back in. Again, he needs to go ahead and fix his mental. And once he goes ahead and does that, then we'll be fine. So you just got to go ahead and probably hold on to it. Because, who are you trading away in this group? You could maybe try to sell high on a Woods. But ultimately, I would hold because it's just a really good group of wide receiver twos all across the board here. All right. Let's see here. Okay. C. Mailis sends in a question. Yes, I just saw it. You skipped your donation. Sorry, my bad. I'll scroll back up. Completely missed that. That's on me. Said, should I drop Hopkins for Moore and Cooks? Sorry, should I trade? Excuse me, I said drop. Should I trade DeAndre Hopkins for DJ Moore and Cooks? If you're in need of wide receiver help, I don't mind it. Obviously, it's just a matter of, do I really want to trade away DeAndre Hopkins at this point? You'd have to be relatively desperate at wide receiver to pull that off. Because I do think that DJ Moore, DeAndre Hopkins, yeah, you know what? I don't mind it. I'm thinking like DJ Moore, DeAndre Hopkins, they're in a similar range of value to where I think Brandon Cooks pushes you over the edge. Again, if he's going to start for you. If you're trading for Moore and Cooks and Cooks is not going to play, then it's not worth it for you. But if both these guys are going to play for you, I think it could be worth it in the end. So yeah, that's your question. C. Miles, thank you. James Rooney says, I have an offer to take Mike Williams for Edmonds and Sanders. Taking Mike Williams for Edmonds and Sanders. Okay. I need a wide receiver, and Christian McCaffrey coming back helps me out a lot with my running back needs. Williams, more upside. Yeah, I would take it. I'm good with that, James Rooney. Take Mike Williams. He's the better upside player in that regard. Let's see here. Nick sends in a question. Says, what's up with Gibson and Swift? Busts? Wait, what? Maybe for 1 week, sure. But have you seen where DeAndre Swift lies in the entire grand scheme of the running back position right now? I think DeAndre Swift is like the number 3 overall running back in fantasy. Let me confirm this. DeAndre Swift, where are we? He's the number 8 overall running back in fantasy right now. So the idea that he is a bust is far from reality. Gibson, absolutely, not even close. But DeAndre Swift, never put bust and DeAndre Swift next to each other in any capacity, okay? Thank you very much. Blake Wilson says, trade Cook, Lamb, Fant for Hunt, Justin Jefferson, Julio Jones, and Schultz. Cook, Dalvin Cook? Damn. No. I'm keeping Dalvin Cook. I'm keeping Lamb. I don't need the rest of that, the other value on the other side of the board. I'd keep Cook and Lamb. Let's see here. See, Corey Davis is a wide receiver too this week, if he's even healthy. I don't even think he's going to play. What's up, Z-Lugs? How's it going? Zach Craig says, 7-1, half PPR. Should I try to trade Aaron Jones for an RB1? I mean, Aaron Jones is an RB1. With a better playoff schedule. That's what you're looking for, playoffs. No, I wouldn't do that because, again, at 7-1, unless you know your league is just completely terrible and they're not going to catch you, then at that point you can maybe go for it. But at this moment, I think you're fine with just rolling Aaron Jones out there, even in the tougher schedule. Let's see here. Jaden Thornton says, I have Zeke, Chubb, and Cook. All right, well, you're set. They didn't play the best this week. Yep, that's obvious. The guy with Christian McCaffrey has Debo too. I'd love Debo. Should I package with an RB for the 2? Oh, man. I mean, should I package with an RB for the 2? I mean, what are you going to technically give? Are you going to give like Ezekiel Elliott for Debo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey? Because if you're going to, I'd say yes, hurry up and get the trade done. Even if you're giving away Dalvin Cook for Christian McCaffrey and Debo Samuel, I would do that. But I would never give 2 of those running backs for McCaffrey and Debo. I wouldn't. I'd keep what you have if that's the regard there, Jaden. Vexo says, Superflex quarterback, Matt Ryan and Daniel Jones. Should I trade Dalvin Cook for Hurts and Chase Edmonds? No, keep Dalvin Cook. I would keep. All right. Grim says, please help, Andrew. I need help. This is week 9 schedule. Look, the lineup. Look, again, it's relatively early, but let's see here. You posted with 20 question marks. Let's see what you have here, my guy. Burrow, Najee Harris, Darrell Henderson, Chase. Okay, so I'm assuming that's Jamar Chase. Debo Samuel, and then your flex number 1 and 2 is Diggs and Aaron Jones. I mean, how could this lineup not be good? That's my question, Grim. Like, for sure, I know for a fact that this has got to be like an 8 to 10 team league because you have stacked volume across the board. You went Aaron Jones and Najee Harris with your first 2 picks. You were able to come back around, pick up a guy like, I mean, how did you even get Diggs? Yeah, this is a weird league. But either way, you have a fantastic team. Don't worry about it. Keep starting them. I mean, you have to have a winning record by now with that kind of a team. Is Pittman a good sell high candidate? It depends on how you see this Colts offense. I see them as a team that's only getting better as the weeks progress. So if you're going to sell high, sure, but it depends what you're going to get in exchange. If you can, I mean, I honestly think he's the real deal. And with T.Y. Hilton getting hurt again, I just feel like it'd be a little premature to move him unless you're going to get some crazy value. Trade James Robinson for Marquise Brown and Antonio Gibson, full PPR. If you need value now, Gavin, and you're in a position where you think you'll lose the next 2 weeks if, in fact, you don't have James Robinson on roster, then you can make the move. Otherwise, I'm probably going to stick with James Robinson unless you're in desperate need of one. Let's see here. I have 4 players on bye, and then it says 12-team league. Should I pick up Cobb for this week? I think he'd have a solid amount of receptions. Dyer, it depends on what the heck happens with the wide receivers of Green Bay. If Devontae Adams, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and Allen Lazard are back, then I don't think, Cobb is much of any value. I mean, in a game in which he was the number one receiving option for the Packers, he only had 5 targets. So that should kind of tell you a lot about the offense. I have Hawkinson as my tight end 1. Would you trade Ertz for Kittle? Yeah. Not even close. Even if you didn't have Hawkinson, I would trade Ertz for Kittle because he's playing this week and he's good to go. And Kittle's a monster. You trading Elijah Mitchell right now? Depends. What are you getting for him? Can you afford to trade him and get back, mediocre running back value? Because I look at it as, if you're going to trade Elijah Mitchell, you're going to probably have to trade him for somebody that has played far worse than he has in the last 2 weeks. And that's the only way that you're going to be able to effectively trade him, because there's no way that you can trade Elijah Mitchell right now for a running back that is scoring more on a weekly basis. There's no way. So you're probably going to have to take a downgrade. Now the question is, do you trust in the offense, or do you take the discount and try to hope that somebody else will play better rest of the season? At this point, I'm keeping Elijah Mitchell. What does this say? Turkey says Eckler and Emmanuel Sanders for Zeke and Mike Williams. Yes, I would take that. I'd take Zeke and Williams. I have Adams. So if he's back, no chance. I'm playing Cobb. Okay. Yeah, at that point, then you're fine, Dyer. You'll be fine in that regard. Is Alvin Kamara and Evans? I answered this question. Horrible need for depth, and the rest of your team's hurt or something. That's the only reason I'd ever make that trade. Have you talked about Kyler Murray or James Robinson? In what regard? Like in terms of their injury? My stream just died a little bit there. Hopefully it recovers. Okay. In terms of injuries, Kyler Murray versus, was it a versus there? Let me go back to the chat. Oh, no, it wasn't just a verse. Okay, so have you talked about Kyler Murray or James Robinson? They're hurt. How do I know if they're going to play? I don't know. What do I do if they don't play? Panic. No, listen, if it's James Robinson and you have him on roster, even if you don't, you may be able to send out a waiver this week, go pick up Carlos Hyde, get a starter for the next couple weeks. They play Buffalo this week. Not really interested in that anyway. But as for Kyler Murray, if he's going to be missing time, I don't trust a single piece of that offense. Not a single soul, unless they're going to go sign Cam Newton as a backup or something. I don't think Kyler's going to miss time. I think he's going to play injured like he has in seasons past, and he's going to play significantly worse than he typically does. So expect a little bit of a downslide here for Kyler until he gets fully healthy. Last question. Thoughts on Jeudy rest of the season? I haven't watched a game yet between the Denver Broncos and Washington football team. Jeudy was not utilized very heavily. And does that concern me? No, because again, it's only his first game back. But, there's levels to everything, and eventually he'll get back to being his regular self. What his regular self looks like is a matter of still him growing as a younger player in his second year only. But yeah, the entire offense of Denver just looks terrible. Cortland Sutton's not getting enough targets. Judy's not getting enough targets. Noah Fant had like 2 targets yesterday. I think their leading receiving option was either Fant or Okwuegbunam, the backup tight end, or Gordon, or just the offense looks terrible. I'm hoping that if they really want to air raid this entire thing, they'll eventually replace Teddy Bridgewater with Drew Lock, because I think that will increase the value of these receivers. But for right now, I'm okay with him. It's just I don't know. It's tough. He may have to sit on the bench for a couple weeks until we see what the heck he's really capable of. Randy says, is Kelsey showing signs of slowing down? Trade for a haul? I mean, you can trade him if you want, but I don't think he's slowing down. I think Mahomes is just playing badly, and defenses are playing it, correctly. You sit in a cover 2 shell the entire game. You double cover the biggest threats on the field, Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, and you force Patrick Mahomes to either have to survive in the pocket or throw it to guys that are checkdowns, and throw it to guys like Byron Pringle and Demarcus Robinson. And to be totally honest, he hasn't been able to do that very well. I don't think it's a problem with Kelsey. I think it's a problem of, defenses just stopping Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes not being patient enough to just take the checkdowns. Nick says, do I have a chance at the playoffs? I'm 3-5. Okay, yeah, you already have a chance. So you don't have to worry. 3-5 is not a big deal. Considering we just finished week 8, right? That means 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, right? Or 13, 14. So we have about, 6-7 weeks until, 5 or 6 weeks. weeks, until the start of the fantasy football playoffs. So you're in a good spot. You can definitely win more than half of those games, win 4 out of the next 6, have a 7-7 record and make the playoffs in your league, or play even better, 8-6, 9-5, etc. Now, if you go ahead and string together some losses here, it's dead. But that's just the question. Can you go ahead and put together some performances? 4th place is a team that's 5-3, has Dak, Daniel Jones, Cook, Swift, Hunt, Montgomery, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you're telling me that the top 4 teams in your league make the playoffs. Okay, in that regard, if you're going to try to catch up to that, it may be, okay, here's the thing. If you're asking me if you're going to make the playoffs with a 3-5 record and I don't know what your team is, how can I really give you an overall projection, right? Now, if you're telling me that that's the 4th place team and that's a stacked team altogether, then certainly it's going to be difficult, but it's not impossible. You just have to string together wins. You got to go, relatively undefeated going forward here. Lost Derrick Henry and K1. Thoughts on Devonta Smith as the flex? Devonta Smith is certainly not panning out as to what we anticipated, and that is what it is. We are probably going to only play him in matchups where this team is losing heavily. And I don't really like the matchup against the Chargers this week. I think the Chargers have one of the better secondaries in the league, and wide receivers do not play well against them. So Devonta Smith is not a great play this week at the flex. No, sir. But thank you for the question there, Michael Williams. Let's see. Hey, Andrew. Time to bench Mahomes this week. Who do they play this week? Kansas City takes on Green Bay. I don't think I'm at that position yet. I think he'll be a lower ranked quarterback, but I don't think he's completely dead at that point. Hey, Andrew. Okay, so that we did that. 1,130 points against this year. I can't catch a break. Sorry to hear about that, Cooper. To be honest, that is another factor that a lot of people don't take into account. Like, they look at their team and think, man, I can't win a game this year. And sometimes it's mainly because you just play against teams that are good. Now, here's my suggestion. If you're in a league in which you guys are not playing to just talk crap to one another and you're playing just to see who's better at fantasy, then you shouldn't even play in a head-to-head league. You should play in a league in which whoever scores the most points by the end of the season, weeks 1 through 17, wins the whole damn thing. And that's it, done, finished. That's like the full money leagues, like the National Fantasy Football Championship, the NFFC. That is just straight up you're setting your roster every week, but it's literally who has the best roster or the most total points by the end of the season. Edgar says, won my matchup by 0.4 points. Congratulations. That's good. That is ridiculous. Holy moly. Time to move on from Kelsey. Why do you guys overreact? I hate it, guys. Stop overreacting. Why can't Kelsey have one bad game? Why can't he have 2 bad games? Why? What is the problem with it? Look, if you want to trade him, go trade him. I don't care. I would never trade Travis Kelsey unless I'm getting back incredible value for him, because he is and will continue to be the number 1 tight end. I don't care what happened tonight. I don't. It's 1 week. We literally have so many weeks ahead until week 17 championship. Of course, if he plays like crap every single game until the rest of the year, guess where I'm going? I'm going to go down with the ship. I'm going down with Travis Kelsey. He's been the number 1 tight end for 5 consecutive years. I don't like the overreactions, guys. I hate it. It's 1 game. Take it as such. Don't see it as the full, script of a season because of 1 damn game. It just doesn't make sense. Good question, Jason. Jacobs or Carter rest of season? I am slowly beginning to think that Michael Carter might be the guy. Just basically, it's mainly because of receiving work. Josh Jacobs will never see that. And on top of it, Josh Jacobs will definitely have Kenyon Drake in the backfield. It's overreaction Monday. You're absolutely right. It is overreaction Monday, and people are beginning to panic because their teams are not playing well. Listen, let me just put it in perspective. In my main league, the big money league with my friends, like family, like this is the home league, I have had the worst season to begin with that I've ever had in my entire career of playing in this league, okay? Mainly because I think I've had 7 or 8 season-ending injuries that have happened to my roster already this season. It keeps getting worse, okay? Sterling Shepard got hurt tonight. Tony got hurt again. It just keeps going down the drain. Nonetheless, I'm sitting at 4-4, and this is the worst I've ever done in a singular home league. At 4-4, I'm not panicking, even with injuries, because I know there's so much left to go. Now, if you're sitting at 2-6, 3-5, then at that point, now it's time to start making moves. Try to go trade for players. Try to go get guys that are going to win and get you big performances now. Play the matchups so that you can maybe get into that playoffs, because that's all you want to be in. Even if you're a round one bounce, missing the playoffs is probably the worst thing that you can do this year. Richard Dyer says, love the content, Andrew. I'm 4-4. Join the club. With my team, here's my roster. Stafford, Najee Harris, Taylor, Chubb. I mean, imagine if I could have one of these teams. Chubb, Taylor, and Najee Harris. Imagine. Mike Williams, Lamb, Freiermuth with Knox hurt. Am I good? Yeah, you are fantastic. You're good to go, my guy. Najee Harris, Taylor, and Chubb are going to carry you to the promised land. I know Chubb didn't play well. I understand that, but it's 1 week. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Michael sends in a question. Says, "Hi Andy. On a scale of 1 to 10, rate your true objective excitement level for Adrian Peterson or McNichols rest of year. The noise around these guys is deafening. I don't see it. Am I wrong?" Listen, if anybody thinks that either of these two running backs can fill in for what Derrick Henry does on a weekly basis, they are lying to themselves. Neither of these two running backs will come to anything remotely close to what Derrick Henry does on a weekly basis. Derrick Henry makes plays by himself, even on plays in which his offensive line brutally misses their blocks and gives him no room for potential error. He will go ahead and defy odds, break 4 tackles, go for 90 yards. Derrick Henry is 1 of 1, and no one can fill his spot in the entire NFL. Maybe you could throw Nick Chubb into this offense, and maybe he could find success. But as an entirety, Adrian Peterson and Jeremy McNichols, they are just subpar plays. We're hoping that they're RB3s with high-end RB2 opportunity if they score touchdowns. That's it. Like, we should look at Jeremy McNichols and Adrian Peterson as the new Zach Moss and Devin Singletary. That's what we should look at them as. Really, because at their best core, unless they're scoring touchdowns, that's what they are. And that's the objective truth. So when you go to make an investment for one of these players, understand that they're no longer guaranteed successes. There's no such thing as Adrian Peterson coming in and scoring 20 points a week. Is there a possibility? Yes. Is it a likelihood? Probably not. Because again, this is an offensive line that is shuffling every single week with injury. This is an offense that is guaranteeing Derrick Henry 30 touches, because if he's not touching the ball 30 times, they're losing those games outright. So that's my objective thing. And you're not wrong in seeing that these guys are probably not going to fill. As a Derrick Henry manager, you could feel the frustration, right? It sucks. It really does, especially on this kind of year. Just to put it in perspective, guys, Derrick Henry has already scored more points than last season's number 12 overall running back by the end of the season. I mean, Antonio Gibson last season in 2020 didn't have as many points that Derrick Henry already has now in 8 games. That's unbelievable. But either way, we'll see how it goes. Thank you, Michael, for the question. The Beast Hydrate sends in a donation, but I don't see a message attached to it. Let me see if I can F3 function here. The Beast. All right, Beast says, should I trade Marvin Jones and Should I trade Marvin Jones? I have Marquise Brown and A.J. Brown. And for my slot, I have James Conner, Darrell Williams. You mean for your flex? Should I combine those for a better starting lineup or keep the roster for depth? For right now, I am willing to trade Marvin Jones. I am also willing to trade Darrell Williams and James Conner if you can do so. But it's a matter of how much value you can get in return. I don't know how much potential value Darrell Williams has, because everybody knows that Clyde Edwards is coming back soon. And Gore just had a decent game with a rushing touchdown there. James Conner will pull some value, but again, once people look at his stats and think, wow, he is literally a touchdown or bust player, they might not value him as much. So you should be looking for a potential move there. But yeah, I think it's going to be hard to move those running backs because again, they're either touchdown dependent or on a time crunch as to whether their relevancy is still going to last for the next couple weeks. Stephen Talbot says Burrow, Eckler, Zeke, Robinson, Deontay, Godwin, Fant. Javonte Williams, Bateman. I have Ridley, and I'm also worried about Robinson. Should I make a move at wide receiver? I mean, if you want to trade Ridley, I think you should. I think there's credence to that because if he's going to miss the next 3 to 4 weeks, you need some value now. And when we're talking about a top 12 wide receiver up and disappearing, just like he got injured, you should probably make some moves. And if you're worried about James Robinson, maybe you should look to move him as well because you need to win now. Otherwise, your team is very talented. Having Zeke, Eckler, and Robinson, Deontay, and Godwin, that is an incredible core of players. Fant could potentially be improved in the next couple weeks here. But yeah, I mean, if Robinson was healthy and if you're at a schedule or you're at like a 5-3 record and you don't really have to move, I would say probably don't move unless you're at a point where, yes, you have to move. Then at that point, let's start making some trades. I saw a question that I wanted to answer, but where did it go? Where was it? It was like top 5 something. Top 5 running backs rest of season now that Henry's out, says Cliff. Okay, so let's think about this, right? As a whole, in the entire landscape of the National Football League, if Derrick Henry is not in, who are we going with rest of season? I'm legitimately pulling up my rest of season rankings. Okay, so now that I have my rest of season rankings ahead of me, Derrick Henry's gone. Taysom Hill's probably the starting quarterback rest of the season. Do not expect Alvin Kamara to catch another ball in this backfield, which scares me by all means. But with that all mentioned, top 5, Dalvin Cook's up there. No order, no particular order. Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Zeke if Dak is back, and Camara. And there's always a potential that Camara drops. There's a potential that McCaffrey drops because of injury. And Najee Harris and Jonathan Taylor hop into that conversation. So that's my thoughts for right now. Those are like the top guys. So again, it's a matter of whether or not Taysom Hill's going to feed Alvin Kamara out of the backfield. We saw from the 4-game, schedule there against the Eagles, Falcons, Denver, and then Falcons again last season. He doesn't like to heavily target backs because when in fact Taysom Hill doesn't see his first read open, dips his eyes to the floor, starts running. He doesn't look for the check down, and that is going to be an issue. And Mark Ingram's in that backfield. It will lower Alvin Kamara's value. So Alvin's probably number 5 in that category. But yeah, those are the thoughts right now. Cook, McCaffrey, Camara, Eckler, Zeke, and then the potential of if those guys are going to miss time or not be, of the value that we anticipate, Najee Harris and Jonathan Taylor, they're coming. And they're coming quickly. All right, here we go. Let's see here. A couple more donations got sent in. Thank you very much, guys. Here we go. So, Keegan says, Cordero Patterson for A.J. Brown. Or Camara for CeeDee Lamb and James Robinson. My wide receivers are Bateman, Emmanuel Sanders, Agnew. We have AB, we have Cooks, we have Patterson. My running backs are Mixon, James Conner, and Booker. So am I trading Cordero Patterson for A.J. Brown? Yes. Yeah, it's not even close at this point now. Considering the fact that, Derrick Henry's gone, A.J. Brown's seeing more targets every single week. So, yes to that trade. And then the following question is Camara for CeeDee Lamb and James Robinson. I think I'd rather just keep Camara and let's see how this kind of transpires or where we go from here on out. If we are starting to see just off of 1 week that Taysom Hill's not targeting him, then you can start moving. But for right now, I don't want to trade him for an injured running back. So we'll keep Camara. Futuristic Old School says, currently at 3-5. All right, you're fine. Here's my roster. Cousins, Russell Wilson, Camara, Fournette, Waller, Jefferson, Deontay Johnson, flexing Michael Carter, awesome, and Julio. We'll see how that goes. Hoping Julio gets more action now that Henry's out. Julio's action and his potential is based on him and him alone and his health. He is his own worst enemy at this moment. And that's unfortunate, and there's nothing that we can do about it. So, at this moment, what we can do about it is probably bench him until he's fully healthy and until we see that he's getting the opportunity. So, we'll see how it goes. All right, there's about 300 of you in here. If you guys could do me a favor, hit the like button down below. I know it seems like a very insignificant task, but in terms of the grand scheme of YouTube, it really does help a lot. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe. And if you guys haven't yet already, check out Underdog Fantasy. If you go ahead and use promo code Andrew today, Underdog Fantasy is willing to match up to $100 of your first deposit. If you guys haven't checked them out, you can do weekly drafts, pick'ems, all of the above. I'm going to be doing a draft later today in terms of this upcoming week's Thursday night game between the Jets and Colts, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek as to exactly what kind of contests are on Underdog Fantasy. We'll probably do that near like the back end of the show, the last 15 minutes. I just still want to answer a couple of the questions. I'm a little bit behind on some of the donations. So again, use promo code Andrew. All the information regarding that is down in the description of the video for those of you who are interested. Again, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate you guys supporting. And of course, coming out here today and watching the live stream. Thank you. All right, so let's see here. Corey Olson says, rate my team. Okay, we have Herbert. Herbert hopefully will get better, man. I know in the last 2 weeks he's been awful, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there, okay? Eckler, Aaron Jones, DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson, AJ Brown, AB Connor, Carson, Hunter Henry, CEH, Judy, Bateman, and Drake. Okay, so as for the running back position, having Aaron Jones and Austin Eckler, those are probably your first 2-round picks. Awesome, great. They're going to be good for you rest of the season. DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson, and AJ Brown. The fact that you have AJ Brown is incredible. Hopefully, by the way that I'm looking at your team, you probably traded for him in the last couple of weeks, which was smart because, again, he's having the explosion, and now that Henry's out, he's just on his way. So now that we continue past that, Deontay Johnson, DJ Moore, AJ Brown. One of those guys is probably sitting in your flex every single week unless you can start 3 wide receivers. Hunter Henry as your tight end is fine. Again, he is touchdown dependent, but that's majority of tight ends, right? So I'm not too worried about that. Connor, that's great. That's awesome. AB's playing well. Chris Carson, hopefully, if he's healthy and comes back, is in a pretty good position. Having Drake as a handcuff is not bad. Judy and Bateman are good investment opportunities because you don't need them to play right now. You need them to just get better over time and maybe be of value later on in the season. Overall, it's a good-looking team, and hopefully you're going to continue to find success as we progress throughout the season. Let's see here. Hey, Andrew, I own Dalvin and Justin Jefferson, and I want to try to trade JJ due to the Vikings looking poor. Who should I target? I mean, look, if you're going to trade Justin Jefferson, you should probably look to try to get top and wide receiver talent. And I know that seems relatively vague. What I'm referring to as top and wide receiver talent, if you're going to trade Justin Jefferson right now, I want somebody of the caliber of CeeDee Lamb. I want somebody the caliber of either DeAndre Hopkins. What are we looking for? Deebo Samuel. I'm looking for, I mean, if you can get DK Metcalf, it's risky, but I think you could go for it if Russell Wilson's coming back sooner than later. Even with that, even without Russell Wilson, DK just seems to be an unstoppable force regardless. So that's another option there. Those are, I mean, Stephon Diggs, you can maybe go ahead and make a move there. AJ Brown still, if he's, potentially purchasable. Those are the options that I mean. Boning fan says, love you, man. Keep up the good work. You helped me win a lot of games. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate the support. Listen, I'm here to help as much as I possibly can. I understand I get things wrong, guys. For those of you in the chat who have lost multiple weeks because of me, trust me, I know. But if I could predict the future, by all means, I would try to give you guys every winning pick I possibly could. But that's the thing about football. If I could predict that Trevor Siemian and Geno Smith and Cooper Rush were going to win this weekend, and we would see TJ Hawkinson be the number 1 tight end, and somehow, some way, Kelsey and Kyle Pitts would not even be relatively close to the top, I would have warned you all. But I can't see into the future. I can't predict the unpredictable. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Michael sends another question. Says, thanks for the honesty about AP and McNichols. I'd rather use my waiver on a slot at 4 and 4. I pick up Jeff Wilson to back up Elijah Mitchell. Investment, honestly. I know my whole league is gonna go. Listen, if you're in a league that plays with Fab, so you're spending Fab every single week, expect someone to empty their entire clip this week. Expect actually everyone to try to empty their clip. Even in some of my leagues, like the league that I have Derrick Henry, it's a fab league. I'm going to probably empty my clip. I have 100 fab. I've used 0 of it so far because I've had Derrick Henry, and he's led me to the top of the standings in that league. I'm probably going to have to empty my clip. That said, I still have Damian Harris, Cordero Patterson, and Leonard Fournette on that team. So technically, I don't have to. I can hold my fab. But why not? No time like the present. Let's just empty it on Adrian Peterson. Something comes of it. Something comes of it. Nothing happens. Nothing's really lost because I'm still in first place and I still got 3 running backs that are going to carry me the rest of the way. What's your Super Bowl matchup and who wins? Mike, I still think I made a prediction earlier this season in my bold predictions video that I have Kyler Murray on the cover of. I predicted in that video that the Green Bay Packers would win the Super Bowl. I am still of that belief. Who they play against? Probably the Chiefs are not going to get there. It's probably going to be the Buffalo Bills or who's another AFC team that could compete with the Bills in the playoffs. You know, the AFC is such a mess that I don't know. Like a couple weeks ago, I would have said, maybe it's the Ravens, maybe it's the Chargers, maybe it's the Cleveland Browns. But now those teams are starting to fall apart horribly. So I'm going to say the Bills. So Packers, Bills, the 2 teams that lost in the championship games of last season, they'll meet in the Super Bowl. I think Aaron Rodgers takes it home. And there's no way that they can replace Aaron Rodgers if he wins the Super Bowl, right? And that's what I'm hoping is going to happen. And they'll move on from Jordan Love. Maybe they trade his ass out of there. We'll see. Kevin Myers. That'd be interesting. I wonder if the Houston Texans would take Jordan Love for Deshaun Watson. That'd be interesting. Let's see here. Andrew says, I have Derrick Henry, Miles Sanders, Damian Harris, Darrell Williams, Zach Moss. Any advice on who I should pick up or trade? I need a running back. Yeah, you should be picking up Adrian Peterson if he's available. If he's not available, you should be picking up Boston Scott or Jeremy McNichols. There are a plethora of running backs available. Go look at my running back or go look at my waiver wire video that I posted earlier today. I have 10 running backs that I suggested today from 1 through 10. It goes, Adrian Peterson, Jeremy McNichols, Mark Ingram, Boston Scott. Who's number 5 on that list? I'm forgetting. Why is it leaving my mind? Either way, go check out the video and you can kind of decipher exactly my opinion on that matter. Let's see here. The Beast Hydra says, rate my team: Dak, Cook, Najee Harris, Marquise Brown, Knox, Michael Thomas, Christian Kirk, CJ Uzama, James Conner. I love the James Conner usage, guys. It's fantastic. Marvin Jones. We have, you said James Conner again, no problem. Corey Davis, Devonta Freeman, 4 and 4. Okay. With Dak at quarterback, he'll be back. He'll be fantastic. Najee Harris and Dalvin Cook, that's an incredible 1-2 combo. Marquise Brown's playing out of his mind. You don't have a wide receiver too, which is my issue. You currently have a Michael Thomas, Christian Kirk, Marvin Jones, Corey Davis amalgamation of just, not the most consistent receiving options. Hopefully when Michael Thomas returns, he will be. But as to when that is, that's a problem. So for now, your wide receiver 2 needs to be improved. How do you do so? It's very difficult because you might have to trade James Conner to do that, in which I would say probably you shouldn't, because James Conner is your RB3. If one of those top 2 guys goes down, you need to have him so you can replace them in there. So for right now, you got to stay hold, but maybe try to go ahead and make some moves on the waiver here. Try to maybe move Corey Davis, Devonta Freeman, and see if you can get some wide receivers that may become of something moving on. Oh, and you have A.J. Brown, so never mind. Your wide receiver 2 is solid. Never mind. Tight end's your issue then. C.J. Uzama and Dawson Knox. I guess you're waiting until Dawson Knox comes back, and at that point, you'd be fine. So your team is a lot better than it. Dude, I'm telling you, literally one player makes the huge difference, right? But otherwise, no, good-looking team. Hey, Andrew, please rate my team. Says Ansar Malik, but he didn't put a team next to it. Damn it, dude. I would have rated it there. Can I trust Mike Davis weekly? Revorg Z. If you want 9 points, then sure. In a half PPR, you can get 9 points every single week out of him. But if you want anything more, don't expect that. Thoughts on Amari Cooper and Damian Harris for Swift this week? I think I'd rather just have the 2, to be honest. Damian Harris, he could be top 15 running back rest of the season. And Amari Cooper, when Dak returns, I mean, he's starting to show that he's got the ability. It's just a matter of can he stay healthy. So if you're playing in a full PPR, I could say very confidently that I probably consider it heavily because I do like the idea of Swift in a full PPR, but for right now, I'd probably just hold. Jack B says, trade Montgomery or Mitchell for Justin Jefferson. Trade Montgomery or Mitchell for Justin Jefferson. I have wide receiver depth. I'm super confused as to this question. If you have wide receiver depth, then why are you trading for Justin Jefferson? Or yeah, I don't understand that. Unless you mean Julio Jones as JJ, but that doesn't make sense either. Can you clarify this in the chat, please, Jack B? I'd appreciate that. Do you think I should try to trade Chubb and someone else for Barkley in a PPR? Yeah, I would. I absolutely would. I think Barkley's better than Chubb rest of the season in a PPR, full PPR, excuse me. Andrew, what wide receivers do I target rest of season? I mean, I think it might be late to target some wide receivers. I might have a trade targets video by the end of the week, probably Friday. That'll give you a little bit of an idea. Thielen for Lockett? No, I'd rather have Thielen. Billington Bosman says, Godwin, Ridley, Jefferson, Devonta Smith, Judy. Should I trade a combo for a better wide receiver? Rest of the team is Zeke, Najee, JT, Dak, Mark Andrews, and Fant. Wow. Okay. Should you trade the combo? Yes, you should. I would probably grab Ridley and some other receiver of that group, probably Devonta Smith or Judy, and I would trade them for an upgrade. If you can, yes. Ervin says, rate my team 4-4. Rodgers, Cousins, okay. Eckler, Hendo, Javonte Williams, Booker, Carson. Your top two running backs are studs. Javonte will be better rest of the season. Booker will fall apart. Hopefully Carson comes back and can play that flex role rest of the season. Adams, Jefferson, Woods, Hollywood, Tony at wide receiver. You got a stud group of wide receivers when healthy, of course. Tony, Fant, Schultz at tight end, Fant, Schultz at tight end, so Schultz will be your guy rest of the season. I want to move wide receiver for a running back. Thoughts? You technically could. As to which wide receiver you move, you could maybe sell high on Woods or sell high on Hollywood Brown. I wouldn't try to move, unless you're going to trade Jefferson for an actual stud running back. If you can, then you should. And I'm okay with that. But Adams would definitely be a guy that I want to keep unless I'm going to get, top 5 running back talent in exchange for it. Stephen Talbot says James Robinson for AJ Brown, half PPR. If you are in desperate need of a wide receiver and your running back, depth is overflowing, then sure. But otherwise, I typically want to keep the running back there. Unless, again, you're in a position where you're in a negative overall record and you have to win in the next 2 weeks and James Robinson's going to miss time, then I'd be okay with that in that regard as well, because I am willing to take a discount rest of season as long as I can win now so I can make my playoffs. Pittman is a wide receiver 1 rest of season. You know what, Big D? If that's the case, why not? I'm okay with that. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with it. If that's the case, fantastic. I am always rooting for players to play well. It's just whether opportunity is there. That's purely it. He is limited by what the heck that offense is and what Carson Wentz wants to do. If Carson Wentz wants to keep throwing the ball to the other team, so be it. Your reaction to Von Miller trade. My reaction as a Rams diehard over here, I would say I am relatively excited, but again, it doesn't move the needle for me per se. I think regardless of what happens, our defense is always going to be our problem. And now that we fixed Jared Goff, going forward, it really, I have a hard time thinking our offense is going to be a problem in games. In terms of the problems, the Los Angeles Rams offense should never be the reason why we lose. If it is the reason why we lose, then so be it. The experiment failed. But it's always going to be the defense and whether or not we could stop other teams. So I'm okay with it. Am I jumping out of my seat happy with it? I haven't seen a really good Von Miller in a while. Let's not forget he tore his Achilles a couple years back. He's been kind of lackluster as of late. So it's been nothing of incredible value to make me think, trading a future second and third. A second and third for a Super Bowl ring is fantastic. I'm still salty about losing the other year to the Patriots. I'm still salty about that. So when I see these kind of moves, it's exciting, but unless we get the job done, I don't care. Because it's literally Super Bowl or bust, right? And I'd rather be in a scenario where I'm rooting for a team going Super Bowl or bust rather than, being a Detroit Lions fan and hoping to God that we win at least one game this year. But yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal. Pittman to the moon? Yeah, why not? I'm okay with that. Let's go. I want to play the Colts defense next week. Sure. Yeah, why not? I lost Henry looking for trade Woods for a running back. Any suggestions? If you're looking to try to get a running back right now, if in fact Cordero Patterson has running back eligibility in your league, I would go after him. Outside of that, there are a couple running backs that are coming off of relatively kind of underwhelming performances. That being Leonard Fournette. That being, let's see here. Who is coming off of an underwhelming performance in which you can buy? You can probably buy you could probably buy Josh Jacobs coming off the bye week. Who do we want to go for? I mean, it is hard. You're not going to be able to afford Nick Chubb. You're not going to be able to afford, Darrell Henderson unless you're really giving up incredible value. So, I mean, I'm going to keep saying it. If you can get Saquon Barkley, go for it. But it's always going to be a reach in that regard. Nate Wilson says, rate my team. We have Tom Brady, Ezekiel Elliott, Alvin Kamara. Okay, so already you got a stacked team. I don't even have to keep looking at it, but I will. A.J. Brown, Chris Godwin, Waller, Damian Harrison thing. We in the flex. We have a 10-team league. Any suggestions on the current first in the league? I don't have any suggestions for you because you literally have as good of a team as I've seen all day. Should you lose games? No. Should you be in first place? Yes. And if in fact you end up losing the championship, it is really not going to be your fault either. Can I tell you why? Because if these players themselves, they don't play up to their standard, it's not on you. It's a matter of as long as you leave them in your lineup, you're going to win every week. And you should. Unless someone comes around and has just as good of a team, if not better, and has that one special game where somebody goes for 50 points and 6 rushing touchdowns like week 16 of last year. I lost 3 championships last year because of Camara. Anyway, great looking team. Work for what we want. Very generous donation. Thank you very much. Says, rate my team 10 teams, half PPR. I won by 1 point tonight. Tyreek Hill with that Butker field goal. Now I'm 4-4. Congratulations. Christian McCaffrey, Aaron Jones, Barkley, Damian Harris, A.J. Dillon, Hubbard Madison, Amari, Keenan, Woods, Tony Kittle, Fant. I've made a lot of trades. I could see. Listen, I'm going to be totally honest. You have an unbelievable amount of running back depth. Is this a good thing? It obviously hurts your wide receivers, but your wide receivers are not going to win you the league. Your wide receivers on a weekly basis, as long as they meet their projection, 12, 10 points, it is up to Christian McCaffrey, Aaron Jones, Barkley, and Damian Harris carrying every single week. And that will be the status quo. They have to carry every week, and they should. And if and when they do, they'll lead you to the promised land. So, fantastic looking team. Kittle's coming back. That's exciting. Keenan Allen and Amari and Woods all scored this last week. They're playing above their projection. That continues to just inch you in the right direction. I'm excited for you, man. It's a good looking team. I don't know who your quarterback is, but hopefully he's a stud nonetheless. All right. Like I was mentioning earlier, I'm going to go ahead and draft a team for Underdog before we finish today's video. If you see me looking up, it's because I'm looking at my second monitor. My second monitor is above my head because I can't put one right here because the camera's here, and I can't put one over there because I'd be looking like that, and I would break my neck accordingly. So just so anybody's wondering, that's why I'm looking over there. So let me go ahead. Let me set myself up real quick. Can I draft for the Thursday night, or can I draft for the Sunday night? Because if I could draft for the Sunday night event, I could draft for the Thursday. All right, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and hop into here. So let's do this. Let's hop into that. All right, cool. No notification. So as you guys can see, I'm here at UnderdogFantasy.com. Again, link down in the description. If you use promo code Andrew today, with your first deposit, Underdog Fantasy is willing to match up to $100. getting to play these weekly contests in order to win thousands of dollars in prizes. This is a $5 entry to the Thursday night matchup between the Jets and the Indianapolis Colts. To give you some context, you're going to draft against 2 other people with your initial buy-in of $5. You are each going to build a team of 4 players. No quarterbacks, no kickers, no defenses. Just flex players. Wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends. Fullbacks included, but they're considered running backs. The entire purpose of this is to go ahead and build the most unique but also highest scoring lineup out of the thousands of entries that are out there. That is the entire thing, and that's what we're going to do. Someone said, cool transition. I have a transition I haven't even showed this season, and I'm holding on to it for a special event. But nonetheless, we'll go ahead and see how that goes. I'm waiting for a third participant. So if someone wants to go ahead, sign up with promo code Andrew, I'm sure you can hop in here and draft against me if you are interested. Okay, I'm looking at the chat right now. Hey, Andrew, full PPR, how much lower is Deontay Johnson than Justin Jefferson? I think it's a relatively significant margin. I think Deontay Johnson's fantastic, but I think that the ceiling of that offense is capped because the quarterback is just terrible. Ben Roethlisberger is a shell of himself this year. Thanks for all the help, Drew. Won last year and doing well this year, all with your help. Thank you very much, Stuart. I appreciate that. I'm glad I could be of service to you. Jack B says, I already have Najee Harris and Zeke with plenty of wide receiver depth. Okay, so that's what you mean. Henry owner wants either Mitchell or Montgomery for Justin Jefferson. I'm thinking JJ could be an improvement on AB. Already have Tyreek. Listen, at this moment, I'm willing to go ahead. Did I get the first pick? No, I'm waiting. Please tell me I get the first pick. Give me Jonathan Taylor, please. I got the second pick. Okay, so I'm either going Michael Carter or Michael Pittman. I'll probably go Michael Carter. Yeah, I'll probably go Michael Carter there. We'll see how it happens. Anyway, the whole point is, in terms of trading Montgomery or Mitchell, I don't mind it. I think Montgomery's a league winner at the end of the season. I think there's also a possibility that Mitchell is just going to keep tearing it up. The idea, you know what I have to do? Sorry, hold up. Give me a second, guys. I got to move myself. The idea of trading one of them for Justin Jefferson is not a bad idea. I don't mind trading Montgomery, mainly because I don't know. I mean, like, Montgomery should be back after week 10. But if it's week 11, week 12, you could have 4 weeks of an investment in which you have Jefferson from here out on. I mean, he doesn't have a bye week, and you might be able to get some value there. So, yeah, I don't mind the Montgomery move there. I don't mind the Mitchell one. It's just like it does hurt your running back depth going forward. All right, here we go. I am on the clock here in about a second. If this guy doesn't take Jonathan Taylor, I would be surprised. All right, so it's between Michael Pittman Jr. coming off of 15 targets, 10 catches, 86, and 2 touchdowns, or Michael Carter with 15 carries for 71 and a touchdown, 9 catches, 95. I'm going to go with Michael Carter mainly because I'm going to draft a team right after this again because I want the number 1 pick because I feel like if I don't have Jonathan Taylor in my lineup, I'm kind of doing myself a disservice. So I'm going to put in a couple entries this week. We'll see if it happens. Okay, a couple more questions got sent in. Let me go ahead and check our thing here. DTN, what am I saying? DTN Rom 88 says, which D are undroppable this year? I have the Ravens. Undroppable defenses. Buffalo Bills, and that is it. Everybody else is droppable to an extent. So that is what I would say. All right, who am I looking for next? We need to probably take Jamison Crowder next. I don't think T.Y. Hilton's going to play because he has a concussion. So I'm either going Jamison Crowder. I probably want to take Mo Alley Cox on the return. So I'm going double Jets. Again, I got to draft another team after this because going double Jets isn't always the smartest thing. But I think the Buffalo Bills are the only defense right now that are technically undroppable. Let's see the chat. Trade Deebo Samuel for Henderson in a half PP. Sorry. Trade Deebo and Henderson for Hill. I read that wrong, Jerry. No. I would keep Deebo and Henderson rest of the season. Where did he go? He went Tyson. Okay, yeah. He went. Who did he go again? Oh, he went Ty Johnson. I was like, well, Tyson. No, I mixed the words up. Yeah, Ty Johnson's actually a good pick there. That's actually like a sneaky good pick on the comeback there. I just need Mo Alley Cox here. That's all I need. So if he can go ahead and donate me Mo Alley Cox, I'll be in a good spot. Zach Pascal, awesome. Let's take Mo Alley Cox. He had 0 points, but he's low-key been good because he's scoring TDs, baby. We'll see how that goes. Let's see here. I left Crowder for you, Kjork. Are you in here, Richard? Are you? No, you didn't. No, you're not in here, are you? Oh, yeah, you might be. Yeah, you are in here, Richard. Dang it. Hold up. Are you? Okay. I appreciate you, Richard. I appreciate you. Thank you for leaving me, Crowder. You guys know I like my players without hair on the top of their heads and beards. Someone was saying that the other day. Andrew likes players that are bald and have beards. Keenan Allen, Leonard Fournette, Austin Eckler, Jameson Crowder. It all tracks. Okay, the final option here. If I'm going in for this, I'm probably just gonna. Oh man, I don't like any of these other options. Let's just go Elijah Moore and let's buy in on it. He's been like 10 points each of the last 2 weeks. Man, I have 3 Jets. I got to do this draft again. I got to do it again. We'll see what happens. Let's see here. Hey Andrew, please rate my team. Josh Allen, Hopkins, Adams. Okay, thank you very much. The draft is over. Let me go ahead and. So again, just so we're on the same page, this is the home screen. I know it's a little bit shifted, but that's just because I'm in front of it. There's Tuesday, there's literally games where you can compete against 1,000 other people. You're literally drafting NBA player teams and just sending it. You could either go to the pick'ems. What are the pick'ems for Thursday? I mean, these are just the pick'ems for right now. Like Carson Wentz yardage, Michael Carter yardage. I mean, you can get after it on this site. Again, that's promo code Andrew. I got to draft one more team. Just for my own sake. So I have to. I got to get it done. Okay, so let me look at this team that he was saying. Adam, Aaron Jones. Man, it filled already, huh? Najee, what pick did I get? We're still waiting. I got the third pick. Man, I needed the first pick. I needed Jonathan Taylor. All right, this is the last one. Anyway, I mean, you have a pretty good-looking team, especially with Aaron Jones, Najee Harris. You have Pitts, you have Adams, you have Hopkins. I mean, it's Adam Thielen, excuse me. Okay, and then you have Gronk, Hilton. Your bench could be better, to be totally honest, but I think your starters are going to carry you, and that's the entire point of this, the entire point of fantasy. You have to survive until you get to the playoffs, but once you get there, it's time to go off. Randy Fernandez says, Herbert, am I on the clock yet? 18 seconds. Let's make this quick. Herbert, Jones, Taylor, Chubb, Robinson, Carson, Michael Carter, Deontay, Hollywood, Sutton, Lockett, Knox, Goddard, Bass, Bills defense. Thoughts? Pick up Peterson or McNichols. You have Aaron Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Chubb, and James Robinson. And Michael Carter. I don't think you need Adrian Peterson. If you want to pick him up to trade him, you could, but I don't think you need him. Because you're never going to start him, really, honestly. You're never going to start him. So if you're going to pick him up to move him in a trade, then by all means make that. Okay, I'm all in on Michael Carter, I guess, guys. I guess I'm all in on Michael Carter. Just to go ahead and have a little bit of variety here, I'll just take Ty Johnson in case Ty Johnson wants to steal all of Michael Carter's touchdowns this week. So we'll just kind of diversify a little bit. But, man, I'm getting stuck with all the... He went Mo Alley Cox. Man, I needed... Dang it, man. Let's see here. So, yeah, technically, Randy, you don't need those 2 Titans running backs. But if you want them for trade value, you can get them. Rick says trade J-Rob and Schultz for Kelsey and Mitchell. Yes. If you're going to trade James Robinson and Dalton Schultz for Travis Kelsey and Mitchell, I would do that in a heartbeat immediately. Yeah, I would love that. All right, he took Nyheim Hines. I still need to at least draft one Indianapolis Colt. The problem is there are no good Indianapolis Colts remaining. So that leaves me in a predicament where I am in deep trouble. I'm going to wait till the final second here. I need to find another Colt I need to draft. I'm not taking T.Y. Hilton. I'm pretty sure he's out. Yeah, he's got a concussion, man. Dang it. I probably have to take like Jack Doyle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Elijah. Why do I have to get all the Jets for 2 drafts in a row, man? This is why I like the pick'ems, guys. I'm going to go look at the pick'ems in a bit here. I'm just going to take Jack Doyle. Tight end luck. Maybe he scores a tutty for me. All right. So, yeah, I would take Kelsey and Mitchell. Brandon C. says, should I trade T. Higgins and Dalvin Cook for Austin Eckler? No, I'd rather have Dalvin Cook and T. Higgins rest of the season. Clayton Poirier says, should I trade J-Rob or Fournette for Barkley? Yeah, I would trade either of them. I don't care. I'd rather have Barkley rest of the season over either. Yeah, that's my opinion on the matter. Let's see here. Gunky Goofed says, 10-team, full PPR. I'm going to transition back real quick. One moment, please. The ball is coming. Don't be afraid. Let's see. Gunky Goofed says, where are we at here? 10 team, full PPR. We have Hurts, Henderson, Mixon, Chubb, Najee, Fournette. I mean, your running backs are stacked. What are we worried about? Mike Williams, Kupp, Tony, Sanders. Okay, Gunky, do you want me to tell you that you have a better team than I have this season? Is that what you want? Because really, that's what you have. Looking for to possibly trade for upside-based players. Also, please rate my team. Okay, so your running backs are as good as it can get, my guy. Really, it is. Like, there are very... Unless you want to trade 2 of them for Christian McCaffrey, I don't even suggest that at this point. You're solid. So, congratulations. You got monster running backs. Your quarterback didn't play well this week, but he's fine. Mike Williams and Kupp, I mean, you might be undefeated this year. I'm going to be totally honest. I don't know how you could have lost the game. Maybe Hawkinson killed you a couple weeks here and there. Maybe Chubb killed you. But this is a monster team. How do you upgrade this team? Well, I mean, it's a matter of, do you want to move running backs? Because I could very easily be like, let's go ahead. Let's take Mixon and let's take Fournette and let's go get Dalvin Cook, right? That's what I would say, legitimately, because you would still have Henderson, Chubb, Najee, and then now you have Dalvin Cook on top of it. So that's what I would say. You go take 2 of these running backs, or you take you take one of these maybe you could even take 2 of these running backs and be like, all right, give me Devonta Adams. I'll give you Fournette and I'll give you something like that. Give me Devonta Adams. You can make legitimate upgrades like that. Are you giving too much? Yes, because the 2 running backs for 1 running back, unless somebody's in desperate need or, something of that extent, in a vacuum, it would seem like it's too much. But in your certain scenario, considering you're 5-3, dude, you're in a position of power. You could pretty much dictate whatever the heck you want, and you can get it. Which Titans running back am I taking? Jimmy, I would take Adrian Peterson. In all honesty, that's what I would go with. Unless you think Adrian Peterson, the wheels are going to fall off here, I would probably just roll with him. Let's see here. All right. I want to thank you guys again for coming out today. I'm going to be ending stream in about 2 or 3 minutes here. I know I wasn't able to answer all the questions. Again, I got to go work on for tomorrow's video. I got to go do the research. I have a couple games I still have to watch for film purposes. Just seeing why some running backs just weren't great. Was it the offensive line? Was it them themselves? There's a lot of things I got to go and break down. Nonetheless, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the donations for those of you who sent those in. Thank you for those of you who continue to smash the like button, come out every day with your viewership. For those of you who have recently signed up with Underdog Fantasy using promo code Andrew, thank you very, very much. Again, it's another way to have fun, another way to play fantasy football. If you go ahead, use promo code Andrew today and sign up, they're willing to match up to $100 of your first deposit. Whether it is $10, you'll get 10. If it's 100, they'll give you 100 in the game. You can go ahead and make drafts like that, play the pick'ems, all of the above. It's all fun. It's another way to play fantasy football. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to answer this final question here from Umer and Stephen Talbot, and then I'm gone. Umer says 4-4 second place. Josh Allen, Swift, Hendo, Hill, Adams, Mike Williams, Hawkinson. My bench is Hunt, Carson, Knox, Higgins, Mitchell, Hurts, Cooks. Any trade ideas? Okay, Josh Allen's not going to be moved. Your running backs are studs. Your wide receivers are studs. So my only suggestion at this point would be I'm thinking to myself, who is his worst player? And it's either Swift or it's Mike Williams. And when I say that out loud, it makes me want to throw up a little bit because, again, those are incredible players. So the only real movement you can make is just upgrading those guys, which, again, there's very slight upgrades that you can make, but upgrades nonetheless. If you want to go ahead and move DeAndre Swift and package him up with Jalen Hurts because somebody needs a quarterback and go get an upgraded running back like Jonathan Taylor or Najee Harris, by all means, you can go for it because you don't need to move Josh Allen. He should be your starter rest of the season every single week. So that's a suggestion. If you want to go ahead and do the same thing with Mike Williams, you can. If you're trying to keep the running back depth, but also upgrade a wide receiver. Let's say you're trying to go after Jamar Chase. You can move Williams and a Hurts for him. If you're trying to go after Cooper Kupp, you can move Mike Williams and a Kareem Hunt, something like that. Stephen Talbot says, trade Deontay and James Robinson for A.J. Brown, McLaurin, Hubbard, Michael Thomas. Trade Deontay Johnson and James Robinson for A.J. Brown, McLaurin, Hubbard, Michael Thomas. Already have Zeke, Eckler, Javonte, Pollard, Godwin. I don't think you need Hubbard. I don't think you need Michael Thomas. So, is this a good trade overall? I honestly think I'd rather have James Robinson rest of the season. If you're playing in a half PPR, I'd still rather have James Robinson. But there's so much value to be had. Look, this is my suggestion, Steven. If you're going to make this trade and you're going to get the A.J. Brown side, unless you're going to turn around and trade Hubbard and Michael Thomas immediately, I don't want it. Because I don't think those are guys that I want to have on my bench right now. Hubbard, okay, for the current future. If McCaffrey goes down with an injury, it could be of value. But after that, immediately irrelevant. And then Michael Thomas, still a very tricky timeline. And yes, he'll be fine with Taysom Hill, but it's still not going to be the same as days with Drew Brees. It's not going to be the same. So for now, I want the running back, but I could live with the other side just as long as you're ready to move. Williams sending a cool thank you, guys. All right. Appreciate you all. Guys are the best. Until tomorrow, running back video. I'll see you guys. Have a wonderful night and get ready for tomorrow's waivers because there's a lot to talk about in terms of running backs tomorrow, and maybe that'll go ahead and tip a hat as to what direction I'm heavily going in, mainly in terms of like where Boston Scott is ranked, where Adrian Peterson is ranked, and how you want to approach that. All right, guys. Thank you. See you guys. Peace.